The situation just crossed the point of no return. Iran didn't just hit back, they went straight for the jugular of the global economy. While the world was focused on military installations, Tehran launched a coordinated strike on the energy infrastructure of America's closest Arab allies. Ras Laffan, the world's largest LNG export facility in Qatar burning, Emirati gas fields at Habshan operations suspended. Saudi refineries sit. This isn't a military escalation anymore. This is economic warfare on a scale we haven't seen since the 1973 oil embargo. But here's the question that should terrify every analyst watching this. If Iran can strike the energy lifeline of U.S. allied Gulf states with impunity, what's stopping them from strangling the Strait of Hormuz completely? And more importantly, who actually started this war? Welcome to Flashpoint, where we cut through the noise and give you the raw tactical and geopolitical analysis you won't get anywhere else. If you want to understand what's really happening in this conflict before the mainstream media catches up, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to show you in the next 10 minutes will completely change how you see this war. This is not what they told you it was. Here's what happened in the last 72 hours. The United States and Israel conducted coordinated strikes on Iranian oil and gas infrastructure, specifically targeting the South Pars gas field, the largest natural gas field on the planet, shared between Iran and Qatar. The official line from Washington and Tel Aviv: preemptive action against an imminent nuclear threat. Iran's response: absolutely devastating. Multiple missile strikes against critical energy infrastructure across the Gulf. Ras Laffan in Qatar took extensive damage. This is the facility that supplies roughly 25% of the world's liquefied natural gas. Major fires reported. Operations significantly impacted. The Habshan gas processing facility in the United Arab Emirates offline. The Bab oil field, also in the UAE, operations suspended. Multiple refineries across Saudi Arabia hit me. Put this in perspective. We're talking about attacks on the energy infrastructure of countries that host massive U.S. military installations. Qatar hosts Al Udeid Air Base, home to over 10,000 American troops and the forward headquarters of CENTCOM. The UAE hosts critical logistics hubs for the entire U.S. posture in the region. Iran just demonstrated they can hit American allies' critical infrastructure while U.S. forces watch from bases less than 50 miles away. The diplomatic fallout was immediate. Qatar declared multiple Iranian diplomats, including military and security attaches, persona non grata, ordering them out within 24 hours. The UAE condemned the strikes as a dangerous escalation and violation of international law, but Tehran's response: ice cold. They called it legitimate retaliation against American and Israeli terrorists. Now let's talk about what this means tactically, because this is where it gets truly alarming. Iran just proved three things simultaneously. First, their missile accuracy is far better than Western intelligence publicly admits. These weren't random strikes. They hit specific high-value economic targets across 3 different countries in a coordinated salvo that requires real-time intelligence, sophisticated targeting, and precision-guided munitions. Second, they've completely rewritten the rulebook on proportional response. The U.S. and Israel hit Iranian energy infrastructure. Fine, Iran hits the energy infrastructure of every major U.S. ally in the region. The message is clear. You want to play the energy war game? We'll burn down your entire regional economic model. Third, and this is critical, Iran has demonstrated they can escalate beyond the Israel-Iran binary. This is no longer a contained conflict. By striking Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, Tehran is forcing Arab states to choose: continue supporting U.S.-Israeli operations and watch your economy burn, or stay neutral and let Iran operate. The economic implications are catastrophic. Ras Laffan alone processes gas worth billions monthly. Habshan is critical to UAE energy exports. We're looking at immediate supply disruptions in global LNG markets, potential price spikes that could hit 40 to 50% increases within weeks. But here's where Iran's strategy gets truly dangerous. They're not just retaliating, they're repositioning. Senior Iranian officials are now openly discussing implementing a toll system on the Strait of Hormuz. Let that sink in. 20% of the world's oil supply passes through Hormuz daily, roughly $2 billion in commodities every 24 hours. Iranian academics are calculating that a 10% toll would generate $70 minus $73 billion annually for Tehran. That's enough to completely offset sanctions and war damages. One Iranian professor, Said Mohammad Marandi, put it bluntly: there will be no negotiations, only America's strategic defeat under Trump. We will hold the United States by the throat through Hormuz and continue attacking. This isn't bravado. This is a declared economic siege strategy. But now, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, because an explosive resignation just blew the lid off the entire justification for this war. Joe Kent, former director of counterterrorism in the Trump administration, resigned in protest 48 hours ago. His resignation letter and subsequent statements are absolutely damning. Kent stated on record, There was no imminent threat from Iran to the United States. This war was driven by Israel. Let me read you his exact words. Marco Rubio, Trump, and the Speaker of the House all said the same thing. We attacked preemptively because we knew Israel was going to attack Iran, which would provoke Iranian retaliation against American forces. The imminent danger was coming from Israel, not Iran. Think about what that means. A senior counterterrorism official is saying the United States launched a war, not because of an Iranian threat, but because Israel was going to act, and Washington knew Tehran would hit back at U.S. troops in the region. We went to war to protect ourselves from the consequences of our allies' actions. But Kent went further. He raised disturbing questions about the assassination of Charlie Kirkin, influential Trump advisor who was vocally opposed to war with Iran. Kirk was killed in a brutal public execution-style murder. Kent says investigations were blocked. There was pressure from pro-Israel donors on Kirk, and there are unanswered questions and data points suggesting something far darker. He stops short of direct accusation, but the implication of conspiracy is unmistakable. Meanwhile, Senate hearings are exposing contradictions in real. Senator John Ossoff confronted the administration with intelligence assessments, showing Iran's nuclear program was obliterated in strikes last summer and never rebuilt. Yet the White House justified this war as eliminating an imminent nuclear threat. When pressed, Director of National Security Tulsi Gabbard essentially said defining imminent is the president's prerogative, not the intelligence community's job. Translation: the facts don't support the threat assessment, so we're redefining what imminent means. Internationally, Trump's support has collapsed. Favorability ratings for the United States dropped dramatically across 24 countries, 79% less favorable in 2025 compared to 2024. There is virtually no international backing for this military action. Russia is watching this carefully. Beijing is watching this carefully. They're seeing the United States trapped in a regional conflict with no exit strategy, burning through credibility and resources while Iran controls the escalation ladder. So what happens next? Here's my assessment for the next 24 to 48 hours. Iran will continue calibrating strikes to maximize economic pain while avoiding direct engagement with U.S. forces. They want Arab states scared, oil markets panicking, and Washington politically isolated. Watch the Strait of Hormuz. If Tehran starts even preliminary enforcement of a toll or inspection regime, we're looking at an immediate global energy crisis. Oil could hit $150 to $180 per barrel within days. Domestically in the U.S., expect more resignations. Kent won't be the last official who can't stomach this war. The Charlie Kirk questions aren't going away. There's even a hint of evidence linking his assassination to foreign influence. This becomes a domestic political nuclear bomb. And here's the nightmare scenario nobody in Washington wants to say out loud. What if Iran is right? What if they can hold the global economy by the throat through Hormuz, absorb whatever punishment the U.S. can deliver, and wait for American political will to collapse? Because right now, Trump's approval is cratering. Allies are distancing themselves, and Iran just proved they can hit critical infrastructure across the Gulf whenever they want. This isn't escalation anymore. This is the opening move of a war the United States may not be able to win and never should have fought. So I want to hear from you. Is this a legitimate Iranian response to aggression, or the beginning of a regional catastrophe? Do you believe Joe Kent's claims about Israeli influence? And what happens if Iran actually closes Hormuz? Leave your analysis in the comments below, because this conversation is just beginning. This is Flashpoint. Subscribe, share this video, and stay alert. The next 48 hours will tell us whether we're headed toward negotiation or total regional war. See you in the next one.